So for me, there's something about the sea's energy that always brings me in. It's evolution. I find myself drawn to the noises here. It's a place to come to lose yourself, really. Portobello feels like something that I want to return to. It's a collection of streets and memories that represent something that perhaps I never had, but something that I've been striving towards. There's definitely a sense of home here that I want to plug into. By the time the record comes out, it's going to be 3 years. 3 years since The Water of Leith came out, and feels like a lot longer, really. So much has happened. You know, there was a real point where there were a good few months, maybe longer, where I didn't think it was going to happen. And it feels extraordinary to be out the other side and to be in a place where I'm happy with what I've got and happy with what we've done. I was really happy with how the last album sounded, and up till that point I think that it was the closest I'd been to realising what was going on in my head. But I think that because I've really taken my time on this one and I've produced this one myself, I'm really confident that this is going to be the best piece of work that I've done. You know, it's two different things. There's performance at a concert and then there's studio craft, and I grew up listening to, you know, great bands who made fine albums. I'm such a believer in the album as a statement, an artistic statement, and but I wanted to catch some of that live energy. We did a couple of days with a fantastic string quartet. There's something about the live performance that when you capture it in a room, you've got musicians who are on point, musicians that have been well directed, musicians that know what they're doing, and there can be a real magic. And I think that we've caught some of that live energy on each of the songs. I was inveigled by a weekend dream, and I've come to be the ghost that walks the promenade. I'm working with a guy called Gary Boyle, and I've really enjoyed working with Gary. He is a great engineer, and we've got a shorthand. And he's given me a good foundation to be bold, you know, and to be confident with shaping the album. Every breath I hold, line me up and let me go. Never had the looks to be a pop star, you know, and I've never really written the melodies to be a pop star. I love pop music, but I'm a songwriter, I'm a singer-songwriter, and it's important that what's inside is how it sounds. You know, I'm an indie artist. I've had a number of record deals and I tend not to get on with anything other than autonomy. You know, I got to a point where a number of years ago, which has been really liberating and terrifying at the same time, but I got to a point where I realised that no one will ever care. Professionally, no one will ever care as much about what I'm doing as I do. And I think as an artist, that could be really empowering, because it means that the buck, it always stops with you. You know, Van Morrison talks about once the song's finished, he doesn't want to talk about it, and I can understand, because sometimes the magic is what you make of it, and if I tell you what it really means, it ruins it for you. Yeah, I'm excited for you to hear it. I'm really proud of this album. I really didn't think this one was going to happen. That's the truth. I guess I was at ground zero and I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because, you know, I've had jobs in my life. But the only thing that's ever brought me any real contentment or fulfillment has been music. And I got to a point where I thought that playing and performing was taking me to a place that was really unhappy and wasn't good for me. I've been open about it I've suffered with substance abuse problems for as long as I can remember, and I do my best one day at a time to stay in recovery, because that's the only... My periods of recovery are the only time in my life where I've had that contentedness that kind of nourished me and helped me to live in my skin and make it easier for others to be around me. But I had become a dad, and the relationship was ending, and I was living in a city where I didn't know anyone. We'd moved down just before the baby arrived, and I was very isolated. It was a really difficult time for all of us. And I ride up from Paris to see all the birds and all the trees reflecting above me, strangled in grey. And I climb my way up Montmartre, I fell into the kirk, I cried, not for lovers, but for a love that never was, that I had to break myself. Is it anyone? That I had to break myself just to feel something. I had become exhausted. I'd throw myself into my work to distract myself from what was going on in my personal life. I became very depressed, chemically depressed. The trauma of what happened, and then compounded by the isolation. I just wasn't right. I really wasn't right. And I realised now just how unwell I was. So, I did a bit of writing in those periods because there was a lot of stuff that I needed to process. But every time I started to process it, it put me closer to the things that I was trying to avoid, and it made me feel even worse. I spent my whole life wanting to carve myself a life as a writer, as a songwriter, and I felt like I couldn't do it anymore because it wasn't good for me. It was bleak. So I was voiceless. I felt trapped, and it's the most desperate I've ever been. For sure, I could see no hope. I could see no way out. That I had to break myself, but is it any wonder that I had to break myself just to feel something other than? I tried to change up my circumstances. I'd gone to Paris. Farewell to you. To try and feel something other than what I was feeling. Farewell to you. I just found more misery in that beautiful city. Farewell, adieu, but I go without you. By the time I came back, and farewell, how could I be so wrong? That I had to break myself. That I had to break myself. That I had to break myself just to feel something other than. To feel something other than. It's a tricky one because, I have a beautiful daughter, and I've heard people say, how could you, think about removing yourself when you have kids, when you have loved ones. And depression, as I understand it, is when you've got treasure in your life, you have, real beauty and real value, but you are just utterly incapable of appreciating that, and that's what I was. And I was at the point where, in truth, I felt that people around me would be better without me. I think we live in an environment now, over the last kind of 4 or 5 years, where people are talking more and more about mental health, particularly men's mental health, which is beautiful, and it's And I'm all for campaigns and profile raising. It's really important, but it's important also to remember the ugly side of that, because the truth is that mental health, poor mental health, is mundane. You know, it's hard to be around. People are struggling, you know, and sometimes changing your Facebook profile pic to help raise awareness is not enough. You know, sometimes it's about giving your mate a pass. Sometimes it's about asking what's wrong. Sometimes it's about perseverance, you know. And I say that because I've been in the same situation. I get it. And I was at the point where I felt that people would be better without me. You know, I'm very lucky. I have 4 friends in particular. They grabbed me from Manchester and they put me in a car and they took me back down to a place of comfort and healing. And they saved my life. You know, there's no two ways about it. They saved my life. Do you think that spring is coming? Tell me, I need some respite from the dark. And if you think that spring is coming, can we start again tomorrow? With another year born, with another year gone, and another new sunrise without you. I think it's important to share a message of recovery. You know, I think a lot of poor mental health comes from doubling down on isolation, you know, lack of communication, you know, pride. You know, I never thought I was prideful. I never really understood what prideful meant. You know, I understand it to mean now simply that I can't let you know that I'm vulnerable. And I particularly wanted to tell people about the medication thing because I realised that there was a dissonance there. At the front of my mind I thought, I'd definitely take medication, I'd definitely seek medical help. But deep down, I wasn't having it. You know, I thought I could think my way out of it. So I wanted to open the channel and let people know that I hadn't been well and I'd asked for help and people had helped me and I was feeling better. And that's it in a nutshell. I feel loved and supported by people, a lot of whom I haven't met. A lot of personal messages, social media comments, and connection is a solution for everything. You know, and I feel that, you know, we run away from connection because we're fear. I'm feared of rejection. You know, I'm scared of judgment. You know, I'm scared of taking a risk. But in fact, all I really want is just for you and I to be connected. I wanted to share my story. You know, it's part of my recovery is to say this has happened and you know what, I'm all right.